in that when your purpose is activated, every day I wake up, I'm one day closer to death. So what you gonna do with the time you got left? Next time, Rain, Dominic, Big Sean. One of the biggest blessings is going through a time where you are feeling at your lowest or depressed or whatever the feeling is, because that is just confirmation that you're not in alignment and that you're meant for something different, something greater.
What's the difference between attracting energy and chasing energy?
Oh boy.
The #1 health and wellness podcast.
Jason Bishop.
Please welcome my dear friend, someone that I believe is so inspiring, deeply insightful, philosophical, a guide, a teacher, a leader, Big Sean.
Man, brother, thank you for having me. You know, first of all, I just gotta say, J-Lo, I'm so proud of you, man. Ever since our first interview, like, of course you sparked the idea of me writing a book, but I'm not making it about me, bro. You've interviewed the president, man. You've interviewed, you have gone to the moon and back. There was a part of the book where I said, like, the mental health space and, you know, like that space is dominated by a certain crowd, bro. You are dominating this space, and I just gotta say, it's deeper than that. It's wellness, it's all of it. And I just gotta say, I'm super proud of you, man. Like, very, very proud of you. I know, like, where you come from. I know your journey. I know how you grew up. You know, I know the household you came from. And I just gotta say, man, I'm very proud of you. And I see like, so much for you. And you're still so young, and you still have so much to offer. So thank you so much, man.
Oh man, the feeling is mutual, and honestly, it was people like yourself who came on the show so early and trusted the space, opened up, and made it a safe space for so many that followed you as well. And so I have to give you a lot of credit back, because you came on the show when it was so much smaller, we were starting out, but it was people like yourself who trusted me, trusted the space, and I'm so proud of you for putting this book together, because you know, you've manifested success, and when I spend time with you today, and I see you with Janae, and I see you talking about Noah, I also feel you've manifested happiness. And I think those two things are very different. And so I wanted to ask you, what's been different about manifesting success, career, profession, and then manifesting happiness?
One of the things about success is you have to define what your idea of success is. You know, I don't think if, like, say somebody had $1 billion, I wouldn't say that he's more successful than me. I would just say he has more money than me. And I think that's the power of separation. We tie so many things into definition, right? Success to me is a feeling of, it's an emotion. It's something that when your purpose is activated and you are impacting people in any way, shape, or form, there's so many ways to impact people, right? Now, there are byproducts of success. Like, money can be a byproduct of success. You know, when you do something and you create a supply and demand, you get paid for it. But I don't think because you make money that you're successful. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think, you know, there's a lot of things that you could tie to that. Just like I don't think just because if your life isn't going the way you are, that doesn't mean that you let that make you unhappy. Those are two separate things. It's really the power of separation. So for me, success is a feeling, and it's when my purpose is activated. So I remember I did an interview and they asked, you know, talking about success. And I said, well, I'm not the most successful person in the world. And I was like, well, maybe I am actually, because I love so many aspects of my life, and I'm living in the life that I've always dreamed of, you know, times 10. I only wanted to have a song on the radio and like a platinum song, and bro, I've sold 185 million records or something crazy. I've like taken care of my mom, my dad, a lot of people, and lived 10 lifetimes already. So everything has just been sprinkles on top. So to me, success is really activating your purpose. And happiness is something that you can choose instantly. Your happiness is something that you could choose instantly, and it's something that I learned the hard way. Because when I have fallen into like a dark time, you know, we all go through these ups and downs. When I've been down bad and like the depression comes in, the anxiety comes in, the self-sabotage comes in, and you can hold on to these things and they will stick with you your whole life. You have to decide to let them go. And that's one of the things I talk about in the book. A lot of people may not know how to do that, and there are a lot of ways. But one of the first ways is to choose how you feel. You're in control of that. And it's easier said than done, because when things aren't going your way, you're pissed off at everybody. You're like blaming everything. Well, first of all, you have to quit blaming everything else and realize that you're a magnet. You're magnetizing your whole world to you. You know, so if that's the case, obviously you switch it to an emotion that resonates with you more, how at least how you desire to feel, right? And you can choose that, and I'm telling you, your whole experience will change. So happiness is something you can choose immediately.
Yeah, one thing that stood out to me listening to you was the power of separation.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard it like that before.
Yeah.
And I really like that term, because we have to learn to separate society's views and our views. We have to learn to separate, as you said, our definition of success and other people's definition of success.
And separate what you control and what you can't control.
And how do we develop the power of separation? What does it take to cultivate that within ourselves, to have that ability? Because I feel most of us don't practice the power of separation.
It's just a recognition to me. One of the biggest blessings in your life is growing pains. One of the biggest blessings is going through a time where you are feeling at your lowest or depressed or whatever the feeling is, because that is just confirmation that you're not in alignment and that you're meant for something different, or you're meant for something more, something greater. You know, if you were satisfied with where you're at, then that just is what it is, and you know, you probably wouldn't even be depressed. But because you feel a certain way, or like you're not all the way there, that is just confirmation that you are truly, truly meant for more or something different. So to me, I think that when you recognize, okay, you know, once you start recognizing things of that nature, you can say, okay, what's the first step of getting out of this? And so that's part of the book. I say, you know, accepting where you are. That doesn't mean you have to stay there. That just means accepting the blessings and all the things that come along with where you are, to open up space for more. And you're letting go of all the baggage that is holding and weighing you down. I used to be like that. I used to be like, when things don't go my way, I'm terrible. Oh, this doesn't happen the way I wanted it to, or the way I saw it. You know, my whole mood is shot, right? And I'm not to say that things don't affect me when they don't go my way, but I have the armor on now. I know how to deal with it. I know how to get over it and get back to it. Mm-hmm. That's how a lot of my heroes deal with things too. You know, when you think of like Denzel Washington, like say he has a new movie out, say the movie does amazing and it's incredible and he wins an Oscar, say the movie comes out and it bombs or it doesn't do as well, he's not going to give up and quit. It's not going to ruin his life. He's going to move on to the next thing and use that to the power of separation. I mean, you know, that's a real thing.
Yeah, you reminded me of, I love Denzel too, so
yeah, I know.
you reminded me of...
I can't speak for Denzel, that's just like an example.
Yeah, of what you're perceiving.
Yeah.
I remember my football coach growing up gave me this piece of advice,
mm-hmm.
and it stayed with me ever since then. He would say to us, if you lose, cry for a night.
Yeah.
And he goes, if you win, celebrate for a night,
mm-hmm.
but then get back to training.
That's right.
So if you lose, cry for a night, but then get back to training. And if you win, celebrate for a night and get back to training. It was always about getting back to training the next day.
Yeah.
It was like, you can't just sit there and cry for a week
mm-hmm.
or cry for a month. And you can't, in the same way, celebrate for a month. You can't just live off your past success.
That's right.
Get back to training. And I love that mindset. Someone was
like a Kobe mindset almost, right?
Yeah, for sure. Go on.
You know, I know you got a chance to talk to Kobe before, and I've actually got a chance to talk to him as well. And you know, he's incredible, and his mindset was something that I admired so much. And I got a chance to talk to him literally a few months before he passed, and he was just telling me about how he meditates and what it does for him, right? And I just resonated with that so much. It's really cool because we all are reflections of each other. Not just me and you or whoever. It's like everyone that's in your vicinity, in your environment, is a reflection of you or a part of you, even if you like them or don't like them. You know, and it's something to recognize that we are all interconnected. After you go down to the layers of it, right, you get past the singularity of like career, family, house, this and that. You go really deep inside and we're all very similar. We're all the same. We have the same system of order of operations, you know, and it's really a true testament of we all are, everything physical is made of that same, I don't know what you want to call it, prana or love, energy. And as I've gotten older in my life, I see the similarities. I have friends that are in their 60s, 70s, you know, I have friends that are all races and things, and I see myself in all of them. And I think that's something to recognize in such a world of separation. I know that kind of is like a far reach from talking about the interaction with Kobe, but it's just crazy how in everyone that I've been meeting lately, and even just from growing up, that I've seen, it's like a mirror almost in a lot of ways. Every day I wake up, I'm one day closer to death. So what you gonna do with the time you got left? I always say that's a business you'll never be successful at, is the business of trying to please everyone. And then when you do please everyone, it's like, are you pleasing yourself? I can't control what people think of me, their perceptions of me. And when I try and control that, it takes me off of my path that I'm on, where I need to go.
Talking about Kobe, I think what resonated with me most about him is that he was at peace in retirement. And athletes who are retired don't always find peace because naturally it was so important to be on the field.
Right.
And so, no judgment towards anyone, but it's so hard to not be on the court anymore and not miss it. I want to be there. And he had found a new purpose. And that's the most interesting thing, is that you don't get to peace by pursuing it, and you don't get to peace by trying to pursue more prizes and more wins.
Yeah.
You get to peace by finding your purpose, and that's what he did. And so I want to talk about your book, because you really give people these 5 practices.
Yeah.
And I want to give people a game plan, a roadmap today in our interview, so that when they read the book, they can kind of connect the dots between things you've said today. And I want everyone to go out and grab a copy of the book, because I really feel it simplifies. I feel like so much of this space is like mystical, complex. Like, and it can take a long time, but what you've done is you've really demystified and go higher your book, the pathway to get there. And I love that you start at accept, because I think even though it's a hard step, it's such an important step, this idea that your journey only begins when you accept that where you are is your starting point. That your experience has made you exactly who you're meant to be, with the skills, the talents, the gifts. So if someone's sitting and listening and going, Sean, that's so hard for me to accept that I am where I need to be, because my life's just been full of, the worst, horrible, difficult things. How do I accept and start from there? What would you say to them?
I would say that I understand some people's lives are not ideal. I'm someone who has seen that, experienced that, can relate to that firsthand. And what I can say is that when you accept it, that doesn't mean that you are giving up. Those are 2 different things. Accepting it just means, okay, I'm ready to go somewhere else. And I'm thankful for all that this has taught me, all of this has brought me. I accept where I'm at, but I know I'm made for something else. I know I'm made to go higher, right? but really I'm made to be somewhere else in the world, and I think that until you accept that, you can't move forward, because you're just in the middle of it. And I think when you accept something, that's how you get ahead of it.
I agree. I feel like it's the resistance to acceptance that blocks us.
Exactly.
Right? Wow. It's like when we're fighting. When we're fighting, we're going in the opposite direction. It's like, it's telling you it's going in this direction, and you're trying to force it to go in the other direction, and that's what's causing tension. And accepting it means, like you said, not that you're giving up and you're like, all right, well, I just do what you want. It's going, no, this is how it's flowing. Now what am I going to do?
There's always a thread of where you are to where you desire to be at. No matter in what situation, there's never not a way. or else you wouldn't feel it, or else you wouldn't have a desire for it, but it wouldn't even be in your consciousness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a desire to go to Saturn because that's just not in my thing, right? But I have a desire to, the things that I've had a desire to, I always knew that there was a way. So always know that no matter what opportunity you're in, against the impossible odds, or against odds, you know, whatever it is, you always have your way to get to where you are. There's always a thread leading you, and there are maybe multiple threads. So never be down and out and think that it's impossible. It's really not. I mean, Mission Impossible is a movie where he defines impossible missions, you know. But my point is like there's nothing that's impossible for you. It's all meant for you, and it's up to you. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, "Every day I wake up, I'm one day closer to death. So what you gonna do with the time you got left?" It's like, understand that this is our time right now. The moment is now. These moments, we only have the moment. So a lot of us live in the future and a lot of us live in the past. And that's something that we have to get out of the habit of. And I think when you accept where you are, you're kind of letting go of that and making an action plan to putting your attention on your intention. And you, of course, you have an idea of where you would like to be, but God doesn't always give us what we want. God gives us what we need. And sometimes those are the same thing and sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
And it all works out, you know?
Yeah, for sure. What's the, you know, when you're manifesting, as we're talking about this, like finding your path, what's the difference between attracting energy and chasing energy?
Oh, boy. Attracting energy and chasing energy. Well, like I said, when you're chasing something, you're already implementing the energy of it running away from you. You know what I mean? And not to say you can't get it, but it's a lot of effort to chase something. It's like even police on a high-speed chase, it's like they might have to crash into other cars and they're chasing you. And when you attract something, it's you are using the powers that have been granted to you from God, universe, whatever you call it or believe in, of it magnetizing to you. And you have that power. It's been the power that's been, you know, we use it on small levels every day. Even if you just set it and say, hey, today I need to take a shower. That's literally, you set a goal, you did it, it's done. You can do that on a scale of anything that happens. And some things may take a lot more time than others. You know, so we have these ideas and expectations we set for ourselves, but that's on us. You know, that's our ego sometimes, that's our you know, wants and desires and our minds sometimes getting the best of us. And I think that things do take time, but there's always a way. And, you know, you can never
Listen, have you ever seen someone who's just kind of coasting along, just kind of managing their life, trying to get things done, and they're kind of frustrated, they're not really happy, they're just making a living, not designing their life, and then something happens. Something triggers them, something causes them to unleash, where all of a sudden they get hungry. Hungry not just for food, but for information, for knowledge, for skill. They want to know what to do. They don't just settle and
self out.
What's been the most difficult thing you've ever had to accept?
The most difficult thing that I've ever had to accept is that the things that I can't control. I used to let the things that I can't control me.
Give me an example.
How someone perceives your art. As an artist, like Erykah Badu says, we're emotional about our shit, you know? I think she said something like that.
Yeah.
That never changes, but you can't control how someone perceives you. You know, all you can do is put, first of all, to make something, to write something, to have an idea and actualize it is like, that is really the win for real. I'm not just saying that, like that is like, come on. You know what I mean? You literally manifested something. How people consume it, if you impact anyone, that's literally a bonus to it. You know, that's why we do it, but that's you literally changing the world. So that one thing I've had to accept is like, yeah, how people, like I can't control what people think of me, their perceptions of me, and when I try and control that, it takes me off of my path that I'm on, where I need to go.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
that is something hard, and you have to separate. Like that said, that power of separation of doing what you love to do and not tying it into how people perceive it.
Yeah.
Those are two separate things.
Which is so hard.
It is.
It's so hard, isn't it?
It is.
And I love what you said, that when you get fixated on what other people think of you, you're just getting distracted from your path.
Of course.
Because now you're placing energy on, and then you might even shift what you're doing to try and appease them, and then they still won't like it. And that's the craziest part, right? You do what you want, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
And then you do what they want, and they still don't like
That's
it.
right.
And then you don't know who you are anymore, and no one likes it, and you don't like it either.
Yeah.
And you end up not liking yourself, trying to get everyone else to like you.
And that's where you don't want to be at.
And that's what you don't want to be at.
And then you're kind of like back to a square one, position of like, okay, having to reestablish yourself, and you got to be right with yourself first. So you nailed it right on the head, man. It's like, you can't really live your life for other people. I always say that's a business you'll never be successful at, is the business of trying to please everyone. And then when you do please everyone, it's like, are you pleasing yourself?
It's a hard lesson as well for people, because we all naturally want to make the people around us happy. And our childhood has so much to do with that. We were speaking a bit earlier, and I was talking about how, like, I was the peacemaker in my family. I was the mediator.
Yeah.
I was the person.
As a young one.
As a 10-year-old.
Wow.
And so I was always trying to keep the peace and listen to people and understand them and understand what was going on. And so I always had to read in between the lines, and I always had to have a great sense of when something was going to kick off and and I wasn't trying to make peace in the sense of like everyone just got to get along. I was always trying to get to the root of it and go, what healing's needed here? And I don't know, I just always did that. And
you know what's special about that, man, is that I think that we choose our parents before, I think as spirits we choose our parents. It's just what I believe, right? It's just a concept that I believe. And some people will be like, well, I was in a family where it wasn't easy, this, and I would have never chosen that. But you don't understand that, to be one of the billion of sperm that make it into the egg and conceptualize, you really fought to be in this world, right? And I truly believe that God doesn't give you what you want, God gives you what you need, first and foremost. And you don't know how the development, there are some people who need a nurturing family that's perfect, right? And then there are some people who actually learn maybe even more and become more of a positive force for the world to change it by learning of what not to do from their parents directly all the time. Or not all the time, but like in certain situations, So I just think that, you being the mediator, you were on a course, you were learning at such a young age of things to apply or what not to apply to your marriage. And the fact that you were that, because we talked about it off camera, the fact that you were a mediator, the fact that you were that for your family at such a young age, it's just incredible. Because look at the path that it's led you to. Man, you're impacting everybody, man. You're impacting like the world, and me and families, and you're really changing it with like the person you are and the heart that you have, so wow. I just gotta pay my respect to you.
No, you're too kind, man. I got lucky. I met good mentors. I feel like important people, we've talked about in previous interviews when you've come on about your mother's role in your life.
Oh yeah.
And how pivotal she was. And for me, my monk teachers, you met Radhanath Swami.
Yeah.
When he came to my student, he came over a couple of years back.
Amazing.
And you met him, and meeting him was so pivotal to my whole spiritual journey.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this, man. Come on. Yeah.
That's Radhi's genius. She's super smart when it comes to figuring out how to help people. But I was going to ask you, I mean, talking about kids picking their parents, Noah picked you?
Yeah, he did.
Talk to us about how fatherhood has transformed your views on the learning experience of what you've learned from fatherhood that you couldn't have learned from anything else.
Well, when you have a kid and you see them and they look like you and they look like their mom, you see that they smile like you or smile like her, you see all these things and you realize, okay, and then they kind of look like my brother and they kind of look like her granddad, all these different family members, right? And you're like, this is really crazy. And he'll do something that's like reminiscent of what you used to do, right? So then I realized that, okay, the DNA is like a computer. It's information that gets passed on and on and on, right? So you're really the culmination of a whole lineage, right? And in you. So one of the things that I learned from him, because there are times in my life where I'm like, man, I wish I could talk to my grandma. You know, my grandma was a female black captain in World War II, man. She was crazy. She was incredible. And like, or my granddad, they met in World War II, right? Or like, I wish I could like, I'd be like, man, I wish I could like speak to them or like get advice from them now, you know?
Sure. Wow.
I only known them as a little kid, and then I realized that the information is already in me. All I have to do is just go deeper within and really connect with that. And that's something that I learned from my son being born. Somehow that clicked is like, he is the culmination of our lineage, all the DNA from my side, from his mom's side, and so on and so forth. And he's got something special going on. So that's one thing I learned. And another thing I learned is to go back to the simplistic beauties of life. When we're on walks out in nature, he's so fascinated with like the flowers and the birds and like just like, oh, the this or that or bug bee, you know, he's like, and it just it given me a whole new excitement for that.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate him for teaching me. I feel like he's teaching me as much as we teach him. I feel like he's teaching all of us a lot as well. And he's also teaching all of us that like...
Parents, if your child has depression, anxiety, or worse after excessive social media use, a global settlement may be coming in 2026.
These platforms allegedly failed to protect vulnerable youth from addictive algorithms and harmful content for years, putting their mental health at risk, and now landmark lawsuits are forcing them to pay victims. This isn't just talk. Over 1,200 families have already filed lawsuits. CBS News reported that,
hey, we can be happy right now. He's like, even if he's like distraught or something, he'll go do something and be happy right there. And
Yeah.
he chooses it, and I love that.
Man, I'm so glad I asked you that question because I knew you'd have such a deep answer for it. Like your answer, the first part of it, the idea that your child has all of that within. Like you were just saying, you wish you could talk to your grandparents.
Yeah.
Which I wish I could interview your grandparents. I mean, that sounds like a phenomenal
Thank you.
journey and story to hear about it. And I want to know how much more you know about what they did or how much you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the idea that we actually have it encapsulated within us.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's coded in us.
It is.
And even if we're unaware of it, and I was talking to a researcher the other day, I was doing some research for my next book, and she was talking to me, we were finding this research that was talking about how when kids are told their ancestral stories, they have a much deeper sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And so the reason why so many of us feel so lost today is we've never been told deep stories about where our parents come from, where our grandparents come from, what they went through. Not in a way to make us feel like a victim or feel at a disadvantage, but to hear a story from the perspective of this is your heritage.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you belong to something so much more bigger and beyond you. Whereas most of us are just like, oh yeah, I'm from West Hollywood or whatever, right? It's, like, it's such a like, it's like a temporary residence.
It is.
But like when you know you belong to something eternal, like I was talking to the researcher, I was saying that in my life, the things that have helped me the most when I'm going through a tough time, a difficult time, a real low, is recognizing that I'm part of a 5,000-year-old tradition. So when I'm repeating the Gita, which is a 5,000-year-old scripture, which is the text I learned as a monk, when I realize I'm connected to that lineage, I feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that survived for 5,000 years, I'm gonna be all right. Like I'm gonna be okay.
Right.
Whereas when you just think like, oh man, I've just been on the planet for like 30 years and I'm trying to figure it out, it can feel quite uncomfortable.
Fact.
And so I love what you're saying, that actually inside your son Noah, there is the coding of his grandparents.
It is, and all of us. It's like time traveling. People always try and figure out how to preserve themselves. You know, this the expression, oh, I'm living through my kids, or I'm living, that's real. I realize how much power these simple expressions have.
Tell me more, I like this.
Like, communication can save a nation, or like, you know, but like, yeah, I really feel like we always try and think like, oh, there's not enough time, there's not enough time. There's a real truth to I'm living through my kids or whoever you choose to. I don't even think it has to be your kids. I think that your blood, your lineage, it's like you really do time travel. You know, 1,000 years from now, there may be some descendants that look like us, you know, or like slight, you know, you'd be like, oh, you know, I look like my dad's dad.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never met him. You know, he unfortunately passed, you know, when I was super little, and I never even met him. But he's a part of me too. And I think that's also why it's important to work on yourself and to heal certain traumatic experiences, because with all this information we pass on, you also pass on the good and the bad. You know what I mean? So,
Well said.
you know, you heal things health-wise, and you heal things traumatic-wise, you know, or trauma-wise, and you know, it's really important to work on yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because you pass on all of that as well. Just because you understand something doesn't mean you have to accept it. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way. When you feel like you're all over the place and things aren't happening, sometimes you just need a little bit of structure and strategy to jumpstart it and build a foundation to build on. You do have to set your boundaries and respect who you are, because you will lose a sense of yourself by trying to take care of everyone else. You will lose a sense of yourself if you don't set these boundaries.
That's what's so interesting, right? Like within you, you have the coding of the greatness and the heritage, and you have the coding of the unhealed generational trauma that keeps being passed down. What was something you had to look at in your background and past, generationally, traumatically, that wasn't healed, that you were like, I'm not gonna pass this to Noah? Like, this has to stop this time.
Oh, so many things. So many, like, worry, one thing. I used to worry so much, create all of these scenarios in my head. And I think that's like a double-edged sword. You know, when you have an imagination and you're creative, you create, right? So you can create good, you can create bad, but one of the experiences in life has taught me is to never worry. No matter what, you're gonna be fine, you know? I think one of my biggest fears used to be like, what if I lose everything, right? What if I have to go back to, you know, growing up in Detroit in the hood, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like, well, I was happy there too. Like, I shouldn't be scared to lose any of this stuff, because this stuff is conditional. And it's like, I'm gonna be good wherever I'm at. I remember when I talked to Side Guru, I was like, where's your favorite place in the world? He's like, wherever I'm at.
Yeah.
You finish with therapy and go to settle your case. They offer $21,000. You say no. They offer $31,000. You say no. You file a lawsuit.
It's like, damn.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of goes back to that like, that's one of the things I don't want to pass on to them. It's like, you never have to worry, you know? And, you know, you could be fueled, you could let something inspire you to be greater, you could let something light a fire under you, but like, don't ever worry, because you have what it takes to get to wherever you gotta get to, you know?
Yeah. How do you kind of imprint that in a young child? Like, how do you...
You imprint that in a young child by building up his confidence. And that's one of the things I love about my boy. It's like, he's so confident. He's like, you know, I never am like, that's something that I want to keep feeding him. Even on the song I wrote about him on my album, I said, I see my inner child in him is still the remnants. Will he lose it to the world as an imminent? Or is it something that me and his mom have instilled in him? And the confidence you lose, you could build again.
Oh,
it's like...
So good.
Yeah, and like, I just want to water that. I think that when I was a kid, my mom and my dad came up in like a civil rights moment in the country. Like, my mom had to drink from like a different water fountain. You know, my family has been through a lot. My mom's great aunt, who was like an old woman, my mom would go visit her in North Carolina, was born a slave. So that just goes to show you how close that lineage is too, right? It's like, it kind of feels like it's so far away, but it's not. She was an old woman and my mom was a baby, but my mom is alive now, so the connection of that is like few and far between. My point being is that my mom and my dad did the best that they could, but they came from an era where they had to really be, don't be too loud, be controlled, don't do it, get out of line. Like, you know, my mom would be like, when you get pulled over, like, make sure your hat is off and like they see your face and you be respectful. And I think there was a lot to that, but it was coming from a little bit of a fear-based place sometimes. And that's something that I recognize, and that's something that my mom has helped me recognize too, through all of the knowledge she's given me and my dad. But like, one of the things I want to pass on to him is that like, be confident in who you are, because you have what it takes. You could already tell he has a great heart. He has a great spirit. He loves trying to make people laugh, you know. Not even at 2 years old, he was like, before, like 1 year old, like telling, you know, trying to like make you smile, and it's just like, just want to keep watering that confidence in him, you know.
Yeah, and that confidence kind of talks nicely to the second practice in your book. You talk about strategizing.
Yeah, strategizing.
And I love that you went there, because I think a lot of people see spirituality and strategy as opposites, or they separate them.
Right.
And I know we've always vibed on the fact that, to me, they go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Because strategy is just intentionality in action.
That's
right? Like that's what it is.
Strategy is intentionality in action.
Right? Yeah, it's like you have intention, and then you get activated around an intention, and that's how you strategize. But I think often people think strategy has to be conniving or like some sort of manipulation.
Right.
But that's not what you mean. So when you say we need to get strategic, how do we build the skill of becoming strategic, and what does it mean?
Well, I think you recognize, like you said, it's just strategy to me is the key to getting, it's one of the keys to move from where you are to where you have to be, because you identify where you desire to be, because you identify so much, and you get to research, you get to plot and plan. Nothing that is really amazing in life doesn't come without a plan. You know what I mean? There are a lot of spontaneous things, and I do believe in the energy of spontaneity, and but strategizing to me is so important. And there's so many ways to do it. You know, you could study someone from afar. That's kind of one of the beauties of the internet, is like you can kind of study and know someone you really respect. Or you may have someone in your family, or you may have someone in your neighborhood, or you may have someone, but even say it's someone from across the world that you really respect, you can study a lot of their, what they have put out in the world.
Yes.
And sometimes that's all you need. There have been times where when you get to know someone fully, you might get let down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, because you have all these expectations and you meet them and it's like, wait, what? you know, but I think there comes again the power of separation. Like, you got to separate that. And, you know, so I know I'm talking a lot, but
it's good.
Yeah, I do think that strategizing is a real key to happiness, you know. And it doesn't have to be like a deep thing. Strategizing can just be as simple as writing your intentions down, strategizing your day. How are you going to approach this? I always before I get into a studio session or anything, I always meditate, and I write down what I would like to experience in the session. You know, what would I like to get done? How would that feel? And I kind of lock onto that feeling before I go and do what I got to do.
Yeah, I'm glad that you pointed out that strategizing starts with studying.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it becomes, you study something and then you apply it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what strategy is. You study it first and then you apply it. And I was thinking about it, as you were saying, strategizing your day, I was thinking about, if you think about New York, it's a grid system. That's a strategy.
That's a strategy.
It's a strategy, that's what it is. If you travel to Europe, you'll see there was a strategy in how towns were built, where the church would be in the middle of the town.
Exactly.
There'd be a river flowing through the middle. There'd be a bridge over the river. There was a strategy in how it was built in order to create an experience of the city. And I feel, that's what it is. It's thinking about your life and thinking, what are the pillars and priorities in my life?
Yeah.
What are the things that are almost like building a city?
Exactly.
Right? It goes, okay, well, a city needs a fire station because sometimes there's going to be a fire.
Right.
It needs a school because I need to learn. It needs a hospital because sometimes you're going to get ill. What does a city need? And you've got to look at your life in the same way and go,
exactly.
What does my life need?
And sometimes that's exactly what your life needs, is structure.
Yes.
You know, when you feel like you're all over the place and things aren't happening, sometimes you just need a little bit of structure and strategy to jumpstart it and build a foundation to build on. You know, so that's a perfect analogy.
Yeah. What was the best strategy you ever built to achieve something in your life? What example would you give from your own journey? When were you most strategic effectively?
There have been times where I was very strategic and times where I wasn't. And One of the times in my life where strategy really helped out was just like, I would say securing my first record deal. I always knew I would get a record deal. I would talk about it frequently with my friends in 8th grade. I would talk about when I sell out when I sell out the Palace, Auburn Hill, all these things that I ended up doing later. I just knew it was gonna happen. I just didn't know how. And we all know that like you can make plans and God laughs at it, but I really feel like when your heart's in the right place and you have the intentions and you put a little bit of strategy to it, okay, like one of the things that I always wanted to do is like, okay, how can I get on the radio? You know, how can I be on the radio? Then I, did some homework and my friend, oh, there's a radio show where you can battle rap and end up rapping on the radio. And people would, okay, that's a way to get on the radio. So how do I get down there? Okay. Oh, so I need a ride down there. I would like plan out every aspect. I need to make sure I have a ride to get to the radio station, to be able to battle rap. Okay, I need to write a rap for when I get on the radio so I have something to rap over, and so it's like you strategize every aspect of it, and it can be fun. It doesn't have to feel like homework. It don't gotta feel like schoolwork. None of us wanna do more work. In fact, when you strategize, you probably are eliminating a lot of work, a lot more work. Don't get fooled thinking that like you're getting ahead by not doing the work. I'm telling you, when you strategize and plan things out, you're eliminating hours of work. So that is the reason, a lot of us may not have time to read this book. You think like, I don't have time to read a book. I'm telling you, like, reading a book, not just my book, but a book that impacts you, saves time. It doesn't.
Okay, confession time. I was doing this creator thing completely wrong for years. I kept building content everywhere except the one.
Take time.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because
that's
all it does. All it does when you're learning, all it does is save time.
The best thing to do is let that concealer sit. So I'm about to let this sit and then I'm about to blend out my nose with my finger.
From making mistakes, it helps you avoid the ones that someone else made before you. You'll probably make some new mistakes for sure.
Yeah, of course.
But you'll avoid so many. And I love what you said, the way you broke it down. Like ultimately, strategizing is building steps to that goal, and you're trying to break it down to the step that I can do today. And now, that is small and easy, all the way up. And I love the way you work backwards, where it's like, all right, I want to be on the radio. All right, let me break that down. Wait a minute, that means I need to go this, that means I need to do this, that means first I need to do this. Okay, that means right now I just need to do this. And I think sometimes we live on level 21 of where we want to go, but then we haven't got the elevator down to level 0 to go up, right? Like we're just, our mind is in level 21.
And we get mad that we're not on level 21.
Exactly.
And I'm a victim of that. And I think that, I've gone through experience. I'm not a victim. I have done that before. I've experienced that. So I know how frustrating it could be. But don't let it stress you unless it's eustress. There's distress and then there's eustress. And that eustress can motivate you. It really can. It can light a fire under you, go through it. Distress can kind of weigh you down. So you have the power to take any aspect, even depression, and let it either weigh you down or let it fuel you. You know what I mean? So I think that I know it's a lot of people frustrated. I get frustrated still. I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm not talking to you as an expert in any way, shape, or form. I'm literally talking to you as a reflection of you and someone who has gone through these experiences and have just like, and given the game that I've learned, in straight black and white and examples of how I've done it, so
for sure. You gave us an idea of when you were strategic. What was the time when you were chaotic, right?
So there are times where, I've let things go. I didn't strategize. Like, there's always things you haven't thought about that you got to come back to later. Like when I fell out with some family members, like even my mom, our relationship got tainted for a long time. And it was like, I was not calling her, I was not checking in, I wasn't doing anything that a son, and now having a son, I really feel the depth of that, you know what I'm saying? And I could have strategized that better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could have strategized a lot of things better, and you always have 20/20 in hindsight.
Totally. No, and I agree. It's just good to know because, yeah, it's the same for me. And I love how you said that strategy is also sometimes with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we say the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you say the right thing but at the wrong time. Or you say the right thing but in the wrong way. Or you say the right thing but in the wrong place. Or you say the right thing and, to the wrong person, right?
Yeah.
It's like it has to be strategic.
It does.
Because otherwise it's not digested. We just think as long as I'm saying the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
everything will be okay.
Yeah.
But if you say the right thing in the wrong place, to the wrong person, at the wrong time, in the wrong way, with the wrong word, the wrong language, it doesn't matter how true the thing you said was.
Right.
And that's what strategy is going, wait, how do I make sure this lands?
Wow.
Like what is required for this to actually have an impact on someone and to serve them and help them?
Yeah, that's what we're here to do, is to serve, really. In every aspect. It always comes down to being of service, And anything we put out there, in any interview, in any book, in any song, it's really of service to whatever the moment it relates to. You know what I mean? So, you're right, saying the right thing to the wrong. And the thing is, you're kind of the only one who can dictate. Right or wrong is so opinionated depending on who you talk to.
For sure.
There are a lot of people who think that, anything that we could think is wrong, somebody could argue how it's right. Even down to black and white, somebody can argue that this text that says the exact same thing means this thing, or this means that thing. So I think it's important to come from a place of understanding. And this leads to something else I want to talk about, because just because you understand something doesn't mean you have to accept it.
Ooh.
Just because you understand it, and that's something that I had to learn the hard way. I thought that I was being this spiritual guy by, if I get into a disagreement with someone, understanding where they come from. And then ultimately turns to me not respecting myself, because I'll understand where they're coming from and be like, okay, I get it. But the fact that I still get it, it doesn't mean that I can't express myself and I'm not valid.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that everyone knows that, because I think that was something that I learned, is to set boundaries. And that's like that big B word. That's like the biggest B word there is boundaries, that I've learned this year. And that has really, really, really changed a lot of dynamics with people, and changed a lot of, it's really created a lot of happiness in my life.
Why did boundaries become so prominent in the last year, as you said?
I think I was trying to be a hero in every situation I was in. I'm an empathetic person, so I love to...
If you're a woman expert between the ages of 40 and 70, and you have a message that you know could benefit the world in a huge way,
you know what I'm saying? I can't help it. And it's not I don't look at it as a bad thing, I just look at it as how I am. Do I wish sometimes that I could just cut things off? Yeah, but it taught me that I can. I just have to set boundaries on what I can and can't accept. And this year, there are a lot of things that I was tired of feeling uncomfortable in certain situations. I was tired of letting people walk all over me. And just because I understood, or I get it, I'm not respecting myself. And I didn't realize that I wasn't respecting myself in that. There are times where, I can't go to this thing, I can't do this, or, you know what, I can't go here, I can't go to Dubai and do this show because I have to be here for my son, I gotta take my son trick-or-treating. I had to set some of those boundaries that may have cost me one thing, but I gained another. And one of the most important things I gained back from setting boundaries is the trust in myself. The confidence that I feel like I have been building up for so long.
Yeah, and I think we're scared of setting boundaries because we are scared of what we lose when we do.
I know.
And it could be FOMO, it could be, the fear of becoming irrelevant, the fear of becoming insignificant, the
fear of losing a person.
The fear of losing a person. But I learned that too. I remember a time in my life where I had so much compassion fatigue, where I just felt like I was there for everyone else, but I had no, and when I say income, I don't mean financially, I mean there was no energy income coming in.
And you were just a piece of you. You were just a part of you at that point.
Exactly, and you're just, and it's what you just said, you're trying to be a superhero and you're trying to be the guy, not in an egotistic way,
No.
you actually just care about people.
For real.
But I realized very, very quickly at that time that unless I was full, rested, complete, you know, I wasn't actually able to help anyone. I was just giving people my leftovers.
Yeah.
And not the best of myself.
And how to enjoy it. And you gotta enjoy your life too.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. And I just found that what really helped me was remembering that I didn't have enough to give anyone else if I wasn't in a good place myself.
Period.
And that didn't mean I wanted to get to a good place just for myself. The reason I wanted to get to a good place is so I could give more good to others.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore there had to be a structure, there had to be an order of, all right, well, I need to take care of myself.
Right.
I need to be full. I need to be ready, and then I can extend myself. But if I keep extending myself to everyone else, chances are I get bitter at them. I'll get mad at myself.
Yeah.
And then I won't have anything to give.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, yeah, it's an interesting one, boundaries, because I feel like, I think we also think we set boundaries for other people, but we do it for ourselves.
We do it for ourselves.
Because people always be like, oh, this person keeps breaking my boundaries. And I'm like, well, no, you keep breaking your boundaries.
Exactly.
Right?
No, yes, it's you know, it's like the boundaries, forgiveness, they're not just there for you, you know. Forgiveness is for you as well, and boundaries are for you as well. Yeah, it's been tough. I think that I grew up letting people walk all over me. I think I grew up by letting people take advantage of me straight up, you know, just to be real. And I saw that in my parents, especially my dad. He would let people take advantage of him. He was a very nice guy. And there's nothing, like I said, right or wrong. It's an opinion, you know, it's just a perspective. So I'm not criticizing him or saying he was wrong in any way. It's just the kind-spirited, hearted person he is. But along with that, you do have to set your boundaries and respect who you are, because you will lose a sense of yourself by trying to take care of everyone else. You will lose a sense of yourself if you don't set these boundaries. You will lose a sense of yourself if you don't take the time out to keep connecting with yourself, even if it's something you love. I lost like the passion of like watching anime. I remember when I was working so hard, it's like I hadn't sat and watched anime. I love watching anime. I love Dragon Ball Z. I love like My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, and Evangelions, and all these things. And that's just one thing that I love, right? So it's like I have to take time out to do that because it is really important to me.
Yeah.
So I know all of us have demands. Some of us have families. Some of us work 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Some of us, and you say it's impossible, but I'm telling you, if you make that time, you will create more time to be the better version of yourself in any of those situations, I promise you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that really helped me as a boundary, and this doesn't apply if something's life-threatening or urgent, but sometimes someone will call me up and be like, oh, I had a fight with my wife. I had a fight with my husband. And my natural inclination was to like fix it. So like, yeah, let's jump on the phone. I'm gonna help you through it right now.
Because that's how you were as a 10-year-old.
Because that's how I was as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, and so on and so forth. Yeah, go ahead.
And then I realized that actually my new response started to be, yeah, let's talk in 3 days. And the reason was, A, because maybe I had stuff on and I couldn't run to it. Like I said, it doesn't apply to life-threatening.
Of course.
If someone calls me and goes, I go to the hospital, obviously I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
But if someone say, hey, this happened, that happened, I realized I may not be in a position to quit everything in my life to go and be on this call. And those 3 days, that person actually had to do some processing for themselves. And when I was just jumping on the phone with them, trying to save and solve their problem, I was actually just enabling them to not have to process it themselves. So most people in 3 days would say to me, they'd text me and go, Jay, actually, I think I figured it out.
Exactly.
And I'd be like, great, I'd love to hear it. Let's jump on a call. And now they talk to me, be like, look, I thought about it. You know, they said this, I said that, but I've, you know, and it just showed me that so much of the time we think we're saving people, we're actually just enabling them. And every time we think we're gonna solve their problem, we're actually just creating more issues for them, because everyone needs to learn to process
Mm-hmm.
mentally and emotionally themselves.
Wow.
And so sometimes like jumping in to help someone, you actually end up hurting them.
Wow.
Because
It's a big one.
yeah, because they need to do it themselves. And so sometimes I had to set that boundary with myself.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like I don't want to be there for my friend or a family member. I just realized being there for them meant not being there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know that, but then when I saw them benefit from it,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that actually space sometimes gave them what they needed more than my words could.
Yeah, because it goes back to like we were talking about. A lot of the answers are in you. You know, a lot of the things you're looking for, the resolutions, they are in you, and sometimes it may take a little while to rise to the surface, and sometimes they'll figure out. But one of the worst things you could do is impact somebody in the moment of them being emotional, or in the moment of rage, or in the, you know, influencing them. You could really ruin something, you know, because you're feeding off of their emotion.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I've spent the last 43 years now working with people all over the world in 100 countries to show them how they can improve their lives. I'm obsessed with this question of what makes the difference in the quality of people's lives. You know, why is it so?
Just take some time to, you know, talk through it. You know, it's really, that's a real important, great lesson, man.
Yeah, it's helped me a lot.
That's a great way of exercising boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. What are other daily habits? You talk about journaling and meditation in the book, and I want to talk about both of them. Because I think they talked about a lot today, but I want to hear about your deep, specific habits and how it's become such a ritual for you. So let's start with journaling. Like, obviously, you're a writer.
All right.
Anyway.
Doesn't make it easier, I would say.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what's different about writing music, writing a book versus journaling? Like,
oh, completely different. So music, I don't even like, I kind of just, or when I get in the studio, I kind of just let it flow through me. And I learned that from like Kanye and Jay-Z and Common. Now there are a lot of people who do write on pads, like Eminem, you know, who's amazing to me, and a lot of people I know, but how I do it personally is I just kind of like feel through it and let it stream to me, and I like go on a mic and like, not necessarily freestyle it, but yeah, just piece it together. You gotta come for a session one day, but then when it comes to journaling, that's my time where I put like my sword, you know, your pen is like your sword to paper, and you're strategizing and you're setting your intentions of, you know, things you may would like to experience. But I also like to do like gratitude. For some reason, gratitude just seems to magnetize more of the things that I'm thankful for in my life. I've seen it work in a lot of ways, and that's my belief, you know. So the things that you are grateful for, you have to let the world know that you're grateful for, because how else is it gonna know to give it back to you, you know, or to bring it to you, or to the people around you. And it also is a great way for me to, you know, and I practice I am, so much power. So I am grateful, I am happy, I am confident, I am happy that I get to sit down and talk to my friend Jay today. You know, I'm happy I get to, whatever the case is, right? So that's what I do. And then at the end of it, of the journal, when I do the gratitude stuff, and there are times where I write how I feel, not as much. I also speak out loud by myself. You know, there are a lot of processes I do, but when I do that journal, I sign it at the bottom of it, like a contract. And I sometimes I put "it is done," or I put like "so be it," because it's a declaration when I do that. And I sign it because it's that important to me. I have to sign my contracts. I have to sign things that will be upheld as an important thing. And that's how the level of importance, even more, that I hold that to. So I sign it every time.
That is so good, man. I've never heard that before. I'm gonna start doing that.
It's powerful.
Yeah, I've never signed it. That's dope.
It's powerful. And Jay, does everything I write down come to fruition? No. Sometimes it does. A lot of them do. And then I realized that I'm also on God's time. So the things that I've always wanted, the things that I've desired, it may not just be the right moment in my journey for that. But that's the beauty of it, man. I'm still here. I'm still able. I'm still inspired. I'm still passionate, you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's how I do my journaling. I also have like there's a book I have of like poetry too that I like write poems and stuff. I only write a few a year, honestly, but like I like fully write and draw around the poem, and like it's really like a beautiful art. It's just something I do for fun. I haven't actually, I've only written one this year, and last year I wrote a few, so maybe inspire me to write one today, but that's kind of all it is, but I don't spend too much time on it. It takes me about 5 to 12 minutes.
That's great.
Max. And then I meditate after that, because it's kind of like a good transition to like, the energy is set for me to meditate, because when I meditate, I feel like I'm attracting these things more and giving myself the best shot at being the most productive, the most impactful that I can be. You know, so that's kind of the first thing I do when I wake up, if I can. Being a dad, though, there are times where I be woken up and I have to go immediately, you know, and so I come back to it later on. It's not preferred that way, but it's a good trade-off.
Yeah. What does your meditation look like? I love, because I've learned so much. Just now you journal, I've never heard, so be it is done, or the signature at the end. I'm gonna start practicing those three. I like those a lot.
Yeah, because it's that important.
That is beautiful, man. Like, I get that. Like what you just said about, we sign contracts, sign checks. Like there's very few things we still sign.
Exactly, right. And they're
very important things.
Yeah, they're important documents, and that is an important document too.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so what about your meditation? What does your practice look like?
It depends. I love doing guided meditation sometimes. I kind of have my own process where I like and visualize the light of creation, like the light of the sun, and it like really filling my whole body up, and literally everything that isn't aligned with that, anything that isn't that light and bright, you know what I'm saying, immediately leaves my body and goes back into the earth. And like, so, you know, there are times where if I'm not in nature, I imagine myself in nature.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Now, y'all know me and Jeremy been traveling the world doing the speaker thing, right? And then
your emotional body, then your mental body. And like, I just do the same thing. Like, it's like a shower of light. It's like hopping in the shower after you work out, like a bit of light. And whatever it is, I kind of like cater to how I'm feeling. So from there, I'll like, if I have like something wrong with my stomach, I like, for some reason I associate green with healing energy, right? And this comes from years of like practice, or I associate royal blue with power, you know, the power of the universe. I associate like red with the love of the universe, the love and support of the universe. And like, I represent like the violet flame of Saint Germain, like to cleanse things that are holding me back.
Wow.
Right? So I have like quite a process, and I break it down in a book. And afterwards, I feel it really makes a big difference. And you know, I read this book, The Hidden Messages in Water, I believe it's called. And it talked about, you know, there's like itty bitty microscopic crystals in water. And one of the part of the book, they experimented like how positively when you speak to water, like, hey, you're amazing, I love you, keep going, like, you're beautiful. And then they had another water glass or container of water where they said like, you suck, it's never, you know, real negative. And you look at the crystals, and one is like a beautiful snowflake looking crystal, and then the other one is like distorted and all damaged. And we are 70-80% water. So these things, when you write these affirmations down, or when you say them out loud, or when you journal, these things have a real effect on you tremendously. Like scientifically, it's not even like a woo-woo type of thing. It's not even up for debate. You know what I'm saying? It's literally scientific for the people who are more, you know, need the proof, as opposed to, you know, more analytical than like opinion based. So I just want to stress the importance of it. It really is. And by the way, the most honorable people that I've met, and like what I consider to be successful, and I don't mean richest, I just mean successful in like the impact, what they're doing, how they are.
Yeah.
They meditate. They all, you know, from my favorite rappers down to you, you know, down to anyone who I just really admire.
Yeah.
And you can meditate in your own ways. They're like, I know like Janae does different meditations, you know, through sound healing or mirror meditations. I know people who do shower meditations, walking. There's no wrong way to meditate either. That's another misconception. There's no wrong way to do it. The fact that you take the intention out, or if you focus on your breathing, the fact that you take the time out to be that conscious of yourself, over time, you will get more and more into it. It's like anything you do, and you will see the effects of it.
Yeah. What was, have you ever meditated with another rapper that was interesting or anything like that? Like, anyone that had an interesting practice that I wouldn't know about? Does Eminem meditate?
You know what? I've never meditated with Eminem, but Eminem is a very like amazing person, so I wouldn't be surprised. I know Jay-Z does.
Wow.
I haven't meditated with him, but I know he does.
Yeah.
And you know, there are all different ways and forms.
Of course.
You know, sometimes just sitting and visualizing and like seeing these things is a form of meditation. It could be your way. So you have to find out these ways that work for you.
Yeah.
Just like therapy, it's like I can tell you how therapy worked for me, but you may go to a therapist that isn't right for you and be like, oh, therapy is whack, but that's just, you know, a specific situation. A lot of times therapy for me has pushed me to the edge of realization, and has been the extra push that I needed to, sometimes I already knew the answer, but sometimes I needed to talk it through, and sometimes I needed to really exercise, and sometimes I did learn something new that awakened the truth in me through therapy and having someone that I could confide in that wasn't a family member, that wasn't a best friend, that I wasn't in a relationship with, and was able to apply it to all of those other relationships and in a very successful way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the book you talk about how, I think it was like in 2016, you said you nearly got addicted to Adderall when you were touring with Rihanna. And I was thinking like, how do you stop yourself? Like in that moment, like what was the habit or the tool or the practice? Was it therapy? Was it meditation? What was it that helped you recover from that?
Man, so first of all, Adderall is like synthetic, you know, I don't know, they say like heroin, all these things, right? Like it's just a lot to it. And I'm really into Eastern medicine personally, you know. I used to have a real bad heart problem that I fixed through literally taking magnesium and some other supplements that a doctor told me that I had to get surgery for. They told me they had to cut my heart open and put a pacemaker in it, you know? So when I started taking Adderall, it's because I was putting myself on a clock that didn't exist. I was putting myself under pressure, and I was living in a fear-based way. And I started taking Adderall because I wanted to accomplish more. And it was very...
Did it work?
It worked, but at the expense of so many things. Honestly, the expense of affecting my soul and changing the person that I was and depleting my body.
If you're a woman feeling stuck, whether in corporate, jumping from job to job, or lost after university, this is why you can't break free. Hi, I'm Shelley Young, and I've personally earned 38K per month in high-ticket sales while working remotely. I've closed over 4
dopamine that is responsible for your happiness, for your inspiration, your creativity, who makes you who you are, it shuts off. It shuts it off. And after a while, you're kind of relying on this synthetic dopamine only. And I remember as time went on, I would go in the studio and I feel like I couldn't do anything without it. And that's when I knew I had a real problem with it. So I went cold turkey, and that was probably the second bout of depression in my life that I went through. That's when I was like wanting to kill myself. Like I was just like, my mom was playing all these tricks on me, right? And it didn't matter that I had a big ass house in Beverly Hills. It didn't matter that I had millions of dollars in the account. And it didn't matter because as great as a lot of those things are, they're still separate. I'm wearing a Lincoln Park shirt, you know, Chester, I can't speak for him, God rest his soul, but like, who would think that that someone, you know, who's one of the biggest rock stars in the world in the band, regardless of, you know, what they talk about in their music, like would do that, you know? Or Kurt Cobain, you know, all these things, right? So it's because it's all separate. You know, and I'm not saying that money can't make you happy, by the way. I don't like when I don't like when rich people get on, camera and be like, money isn't everything.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't everything, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Resource that is very needed in anything you need to do in this world.
I agree.
You need it. So it is important. It's very important. I'm not gonna like sit here and say it isn't, but it was separate from what I had to do at the time. So yeah, it was I went cold turkey, and that's when I stopped everything I was doing and I called my mom, who we weren't on great terms, and she came out and was in my house with me and my mom has always, shout out my dad too. My dad is with me today too. I love my dad. And he's like, man, make sure you shout me out too. Like, yeah, I'm gonna shout you out too. Like, my dad is great. But my mom at that point, in those certain points in my life, just a few key points, she knew what she had a solution to offer me always. And I really appreciate that. It's something I hope to do for my kid and kids. And she was like, introduced me to, she was the who put me on meditation. She just would always introduce me to certain things. Try this method. And then I started realizing how connected physical, mental, emotional, spiritual are. And I started working out. I started prioritizing myself, started putting me first. Started reconnecting with things I wanted to do, started trying new things, jumping out of planes. I was going to the gun range, just trying things out that I was like, hey, that's interesting, let me try it. And it really helped me reconnect with myself. I started watching anime again, and then, I had to take a break from the studio because I couldn't think of anything. And then I finally got back in and was inspired again. And life is the greatest inspiration. But what I can say is to people who are addicted to Adderall and like other drugs, that synthetic high is very temporary, and it's at an expense. And it's different when people who have ADHD who necessarily need it, but there are even other ways to deal with it, and I guarantee you, they will take less of your body. These things, like when these prescriptions, they mess up your kidneys, your liver, and as simple as that sounds, your liver or your gut, messing up your gut, your gut is your second brain. It dictates so much more than we've been led on to know. I think that's why Roddy is so, into the food, because it's not just food. It's like, it's so much more than that. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm running on and on, but my point is that it was very tough, but you can get through it, and there on the other side of it, you come out as like a true champion, and you're the source of it. Yeah. And there's no better drug or high than being high off life. There is no better thing, because you're the actual drug. You're the actual source of it. It's not something you have to take to get to there. It's like you are it, and you can soar. Go higher than ever.
Yeah, go higher.
Yeah, for real.
How do you feel your grandmother would feel reading these pages?
My grandma was one of the first people to give me a book of, it was a book about King Solomon, and that book changed my life, and it talks about the strategies of King Solomon, how he ran his business, how he strategized, how King Solomon, he wanted wisdom. That's what he wanted, and that's why he was granted everything else. That's why he was the richest man who ever lived, is because that's not what he sought. He didn't seek the power, he sought the wisdom to help people. And God gave him the resources by making him the richest man, right? So anyway, so my grandma, she was like one of the first female black captains in World War II. She was one of the first like female police officers, a teacher, a counselor. She was incredible, right? Her and my granddad met in World War II, and she was the example of hard work, the example of nothing is something. She lived on the street called Outer Drive, that's where Marvin Gaye used to live when he lived in Detroit. It's like a real prestigious street, and I can imagine that was like one of her proudest accomplishments, so I really got love for her. I think she would read this book and be proud, I think so. And I think that, as a scholar, she would probably be like correcting some of my grammar and things of that, but she would be very proud. She was very strict in a lot of ways, and she believed that education, going to college, was the way to a better life. And I went a different way. I didn't go to college. I was like, instead I went to the music, and I had respect for her because I always had good grades, but even when I chose the exact opposite of what she wanted me to do, she supported me wholeheartedly. And I spent all the bonds she saved up, all the money she saved up for college, I spent it all on studio sessions.
If you feel gross about selling, it's because you're focusing on what you can get rather than what you can give. If you're afraid of putting yourself out there, the truth is you actually don't put yourself out there, you put your services out there. And I trained over 20,000 coaches at this point, so I know what holds them back. And if you want to learn my secrets to having a wait list of dream clients and feeling more confident than ever, then you are in luck. Because the most popular event of the year is backed by demand, and it's absolutely free. This is my Confidence in Clients Bootcamp, where I'm giving you daily tools that you can use on yourself and with your clients right away. Some of them.
And I can't imagine how mad or how pissed off that might have made her. But through it all, she supported me, and I just appreciate. She just showed me how much she valued family, and I was able to buy a house for her and my mom before they passed. She actually saw the music pay off, and we used to watch all these westerns and Jeopardy and all these things, and I remember she was watching Jeopardy, and I was actually.
Yeah, I thought I was done, but I forgot to put the highlighter on, and after that, I am done. Okay.
And on Jeopardy, and I talked to her on the phone, and she was so, I was like, wow, like, and it used to tear me apart when things weren't working out, and I was spending her money on the studio sessions, and we would have Sunday dinner every Sunday, and I would have to go and sit there, and she was like, well, what's going on with the music? You need to, why don't you just apply to community college? Like, you could have been halfway with a degree by now. It's been 2 years, it's been, all this time, and it broke my heart every Sunday. And I did give up, at one point I did give up. So at one point I was over it. I was over music. It wasn't going anywhere.
When was that?
That was after I met Kanye.
Yeah, so you rap, and then he didn't get in touch with you for 2 years after.
Yeah, and it was like a blank, and I turned down my scholarships I had at college. I graduated school with like a 3.7 GPA. I was like, I had like a lot of academic scholarships, all these things, and I turned it down. And then it was non-responsive, but in hindsight, I look back, he was blowing up in his own right. He was busy, it's not the same, you only see things from your perspective, especially when you're younger. And yeah, I just was like, I felt like I tried and gave it all I had. And I gave up, and my mom, who was a teacher as well, she was the only one who was like, yo, what are you doing, man? Come on, you're registering for, come on, you got it. Like, just keep going, you got it. This is what you're meant to do. This is what you believe in, do it. And literally months after that, that's when things started picking up. So it's like, you can keep digging and digging and digging. And before I struck the gold, I gave up. And that's what I mean. I had those guardian angels around me to keep it going.
One thing you spoke about that, I'm really sorry you had to go through it, because I had so many friends who've actually gone through it recently, which is why I'm asking, but you suffered a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
Which like that, I was talking to so many of my friends who are trying to have kids right now.
Yeah, it's super common.
Yeah,
super common.
But it's like, that doesn't make it any better.
Right, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, so many of my friends have had it this year, literally in the last 12 months.
Wow. Sorry.
And it's hard because they're going through a loss, their partner's going through the grief.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, and like you said, it's super common, but that doesn't make it any easier or any better when it happens to you.
Right.
What was something that really helped you through that experience that you think could help others? What was it that helped both of you? Because it's a two-way thing, it's not just about you.
Yeah.
A lot of our problems, we're just processing ourselves.
Well, every situation is different, right? So to someone who is experiencing miscarriages, and I can only speak from a man's perspective, I can't speak for a woman who really, their perspective is the most traumatic. But I can say that, first of all, you're worthy. I don't want you to think you're not worthy. I don't want people to think that because they have a miscarriage that they're inadequate or that they're broken. I think that this life is complex and there are things we do and don't understand. And I think there's beauty in everything that's meant for you. And instead of trying to control exactly how you want your life to be, accept that it's gonna be the life that is meant for you. And you may get blessed with a child later on. You may get blessed with a child that comes into your life a different way. You may get blessed with, you have to keep your sometimes we get so set on a goal, we don't keep the rest of our doors open of how the universe will bless us in that way to not only fill that void, but even make it even greater. So I just want to, keep an open mind. But to anyone who does experience such an insufferable loss, like, go through it. Like, express yourself, deal with that grief, but don't let it consume you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta go through it just to get to it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that, man. I think it's gonna help a lot of them. We've got 2 last questions for you, Sean, before we wrap. How do you personally find the light in really dark times? Like when you feel distracted from that spiritual light, what do you do to reconnect?
Well, to find the light in really dark times, sometimes you have to realize that you are the light, but sometimes you gotta embrace the darkness. You ever notice how when you're in the dark for a long time, you start to see better and things actually get lighter?
For sure.
I think that it's a natural human instinct to go into a mode of fear-based, and it's like, I need the light, where's the light? And instead of just accepting that you are for certain, not only are you the light, that there is a darkness to you too that's beautiful, and that you have to accept all aspects of yourself. So, once you do accept it, I think it is easier to find the light or be the light. I think, once you really are comfortable in your environment, you will find and see the way to wherever it is you're trying to go.
Absolutely, great answer. Last question I want to ask you. One of my favorite things you ask people to do in the book, which I want everyone to do when they get the book, is list 5 miracles that they've experienced in their life. I love this idea because when I read this, I was just like...
Did your teenager develop depression, anxiety, or...
Alright guys, so now, thank y'all, I'm done now. It took me a little while, but this is the outcome. It's giving you natural, and y'all know that I don't do light makeup. I'm here to give you extra full glam and everything. It took me long, but not too long. It's a very smoky, natural, day-to-day, cute look. But I have to go. Thank y'all for coming in and everything. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell, because y'all know I kind of go live daily doing different kind of looks and stuff like that. I'm expanding my palette, so make sure that you don't miss that. Today is really smoky. It's cute. I like it. I typically don't do smoke, but I'm feeling this. Actually, I typically don't do bottom mascara, and I don't like it too much, but it's okay because it's still cute. But either way, thank you. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, babes. I love y'all down. Y'all have a good day, and I will see y'all soon. Later.